summarized database. We put in data in a summarized manner. Right? So in that way, we can do the analytics very fast. In normal OLTP database, like production databases are relational model, but the queries are quite slow because it has a lot of data. Let's say it grows up to the terabytes or many terabytes. We are not using petabytes in a relational model. So it goes to the terabytes. Definitely queries are getting slow. So hence we using data warehouses or data marts to keep summarized data and do the query there. Normally in data marts we using OLAP engines. In later sessions our team will explain it. So that OLAP or online analytical processing applications provide interface to the reporting. So in that way, very fast we can do the queries and get the data. But here our problem is the ETL process takes 8 hours. So due to that, the production database data, the moving to the data mart takes nearly 8 hours. So this we doing nightly, hence it takes 1 day, the delay. So 1 day lag is there. So pretty considerable. So hence we came up with one solution to reduce this time. So these are the main drawbacks of this problem. The OLTP, as I said, OLTP queries are slow when we extracting the data, and the processing takes nearly 8 hours. And due to that, and since we running this nightly, this takes nearly 1 day lag. And this ETL, the Talend ETL, this one is not a distributed ETL. So this is sequential processing. So it takes time. That's the thing. So we come up with this solution. We have production databases, and as earlier the data mart. And from production databases, we reading bin logs. These bin logs we convert into the readable format and putting in the HDFS or Hadoop data system or big data platform. So we use for that the continuous tungsten replicator. It connecting to the bin log and getting that, extract it, put into the Hadoop system in readable format, more or less CSV. So from there, you can see the blue colors lines. Those are parallel and distributed processing. We use Apache Kafka, which is invented by LinkedIn, and nowadays it's quite famous. It's a queuing system, kind of a messaging like that. So we put in loading that incoming traffic, incoming the bin logs to the Apache Kafka. From there we distributing that data to the Apache Strong, another open source project done by Twitter. So they're using this. So we also started using it, and we did some POCs, very successful. So that Storm and Apache Kafka running inside the Hadoop cluster, of course, and we loading data to the OLAP using this Storm. So this part will explain later by Mahesh and Prabha. So after getting these data to the data mart, that it reflects on the report as we can show the near real-time data in the reports. So in this way, let's say any customer came to the post merchant and give a transaction, any let's say input he brought, then on the time he getting the transaction, once it came to the MySQL production databases, the bin log are generating, meantime it going to the data mart through this process. So this is what we want to explain today. So the entire flow will explain by today's presentation. This continuant tungsten replication, Portnoy's, Apache Kafka, and Apache Storm will explain by Prabhat and Mahesh. And data mart and intelligent report, Intel report will explained by Tilan and Suresh. This intelligent report, sometimes you may not heard about it. It's Intel report, we call it. We're using that for the analytics, mainly analytics, because there's a two differences between normal report and the analytic reports. Analytical reports comes with the story, not like just the numbers. It explains what's happening. So through that, merchant can understand what's going on. So this intelligent report part will explained by Suresh, and I can say it's a success story of database team. This done by only two people, Mahesh and Suresh, more than 8 reports. Right? So earlier, I remember this was photoshopped by Chintak Gamuge all the time and send it to the management team. Now it's available in the report format. This is the advantages, main advantages. Data processing we can do within 100 to 400 milliseconds, and this is not a noticeable lag. And once bin log release, it appear in the data mart on the time. So these are the technologies that we are using. Tungsten replicator, HDFS. Even though I put the HDFS there, but we are using HIVE, HBase and all other technologies as well. Here we are mentioning only the HDFS. Apache Kafka and Apache Storm. Of course, in data mart we are using current production. This Pentaho Mondrian and this IQ Analytics quite stable. Up to now, zero downtime. Nothing happened till now, right? And Pentaho BI tools, we are using this one for the Intel reporting. So those are the current stuff. This is the future. We are planning to, actually we did some POCs and R&D stuff. This analytics, this will explain by Veronica. We are using k-means clustering for the segmentation. For example, let's say by segmenting the market, you can say these guys are less spending or these guys are spend more. So we can split the customer base. So this involves some machine learning. We use some technologies like R and so for logistic regression, the predictions, like we can predict future, like future sales, maybe next week or next day. So through logistic regression, we do that. We have done some POCs, Veronica will explain. The collaborative filtering used by many websites like eBay and Amazon. So there we use two algorithms, item-based collaborative filtering and the user-based collaborative filtering. So again, this also involves some machine learning through Mahout, Apache Mahout, another Apache project. And then market basket analysis. This is a kind of analysis that we can recommend to the merchant, saying if you sell hot dog, then sell some coffee as well. Like that, we can recommend the add-ons to the product through this market basket analysis. All these things will explain by Veronica later. This slide I am giving just introduction. The time series analysis, kind of seasonal trending and falls we can analyze. Then we can say if you sell these items in this, if you in previous, by looking at previous data, we can say these seasons are good and bad. These seasons part we can configure. We can say it's more than 1 month, of course. Then we can say this is the season. Your revenue is high always, and we can see the patterns. Okay, to conclude the session, I am over this to the Prabhat. Real-time data processing.
Thanks, Nidhi. Me and Miles will be talking about real-time data processing. First, I will introduce the technologies. Later, Miles will explain how this come into the picture. So, the first tool is Tungsten Replicator. It is an open source tool backed by a company called Continuum. This has been used by many large organizations like Reuters, Sony, and Groupon. So, this diagram shows how we actually use it. In MySQL, there is a log called boolean, in others by boolean. So, this log contains all the changes what we do to data. So, the Tungsten master replicator listen to the bin log and replicate the changes to the Tungsten slave replicator in real time. So the Tungsten slave replicator convert these changes to CSV records and store these records in CSV files in Hadoop file system. So we can later use them for analysis. The next one is Apache Kafka. Apache Kafka is essentially a publisher-subscriber messaging system. This was built by Linktree and later they open sourced it. Now it is a top-level Apache product. So why Kafka? Why not any other ordinary messaging system? The main reason we are using Kafka is because of its speed. It has benchmark to store and retrieve millions of messages per second. Also, it is distributed by design, so we can easily scale up and down. Also, it provides reliability guarantees, and it provides good support to integrate with Apache Storm. I will be explaining Storm in next slides. Apache Storm is a distributed real-time computational system. This was invented by Twitter. They use this to analyze tweets and get information like trending topics and things like that. So they also open sourced it, and since then it has gained attention of many organizations and individual developers. So to understand how Storm works, we have to learn some concepts introduced by them. So the first concept is called a tuple. A tuple is just an ordered list of elements. To explain this furthermore, I will use an example. Say we have a large website like Amazon.com. We need to analyze clicks of the users. So for each click, we can generate a tuple like which contains information like user ID, the link, the current page the user in, and the date and time. So with the time we will receive a stream of these tuples. The next one is called a spout. The spout is the one which generates this stream and pushed into the Storm system. So as in our example, say our clicks are logged in the server side. So we can write a spout to listen to the server log and pass the newly appended values as tuples to the Storm. The next one is called a board. A board represents a streaming computation. So I have given an example here. Percentages of clicks by male users and clicks by female users. Say our database is very large and it takes time to get the user's information. So the throughput of this entire flow will be limited by the performance of this one board. So to address this problem with Storm, we can easily run multiple instances of this board. So some of the tuples will be processed by this board and the rest will be processed by this board. And we can easily run these separate boards in separate nodes to gain more processing power. Not my shift.
Thanks, Prabhat. I would like to start with more general topic, ETL. extract, transform and load. Actually, what is ETL? Extracting data from some OLTP database or some transaction log file and then transform it according to our requirement and finally load it into the warehouse. But in simple LeapSet container, it's the process of converting ticket line into fact sales. What's the difference between ticket line and fact sales? Ticket line is a simple transaction record which contains basic details about sales, amount, unit price and those things. But if you consider about the same record in fact sales, you will get much more information related to that sale. That means customer information, merchant information, employee, product and all those things that require to do some analytics on that. The converting process is the ETL. So the issue is that how we can do this. Can we implement this thing using Java or PHP or some basic code? Yes, we can, but the issue is with timing. Can we do this within limited time? We have a standard set of tools to do this. In LeapSet, we are using Pentaho and Talent. Inside ETL, we have implemented completely using Talent. For the LeapSet Analytics ETL, we have used Pentaho and now we have converted to Talent. So what are the advantages of using these tools? With these ETL tools, you will get a nice UI. Just you have to drag and drop few components and do basic level of configuration level changes. Actually, you don't need to do any coding. Then you have to design the flow and you can get whatever the things you want. You can deploy it in any environment. Actually, it's self-documentation. Also, with these ETL tools, you don't need to worry about logging, monitoring, alerting and all those things. Just you have to configure them and get it done. In the IT industry, the main challenge is changing requirement. With these ETL tools, just you can drag and drop and redesign your ETL flow, that's all. You can deal with the changing requirements. There are several advantages with these tools, but if I am going back to the initial question with the Nipuna, can we survive with these traditional ETL tools? The traditional ETL concept is something like this. Nightly you are processing all the transaction as a batch, and in the next day morning you will get some nice reports and analytics. But we have to wait 24 hours to get those reports. In LeapSet, can we wait 24 hours to get analytics? In LeapSet, our requirement is to get real-time analytics. That is our requirement. So we have to come up with our own solution. We have to replace all those traditional tools. This is completely our own solution. LeapSet ETL framework. This is replacement to traditional ETL tool like Talent, Pentaho and all those things. We have distributed processing, real-time data processing, high availability, scalability. But similar to the traditional ETL tool, just you have to pass some configuration XML. That's all. It will do whatever the things you want. It will design the ETL flow and process data according to your requirement. You don't need to do any coding. You have to pass the configuration XML files to this ETL framework. Then it will do the things you want. Okay, I will go into detail level. This is our ETL framework and how we implemented it. As Nipun explained you, we have set up constant replicator. It is continuously looking to the MySQL bin log file. Then it detects those transactions and load them into Apache Hadoop. Then from the Apache Hadoop, we load it into Apache Kafka with distributed messaging system. Then we use the power of distributed processing of Storm. We have set up Apache Storm and using those bolts and that we process all the transactions in parallel. With that, we can achieve the real-time analytics. I'm sure now you have a set of questions. How the performance is? Performance is currently we have implemented this framework, and on top of that we have implemented one ETL. It is to convert ticket line into fact sales. It can process one transaction within 30 to 40 milliseconds. Considerable high amount. And also with that setup, currently we are load testing it with 40 million transactions on 2 nodes. If we want more processing power, we can add extra nodes to this cluster and get the processing power. So ETL is ready. Now we have real-time data on our warehouse. Just when you do a transaction, you will get it into our warehouse. So now it's time to do some analytics and reporting on that warehouse. Ilan, it's time to use some tasks.
Yeah. Thanks, Mahesh.
So now it gets more interesting, doing data analytics and business intelligence. Basically now Mahesh, he has loaded everything into the data warehouse. So he has done partial data cleansing. So by partial data cleansing, what I meant was he has done finding anomalies, he has rectified them. Sometimes he might go up to lengths like aggregating the values. So what's the use of it? So why should we improve furthermore? I would like to make it more interactive. So any suggestions? Why should we improve the data quality more? Anyone? Because now we have still data. So what can we do? Okay, basically what we can do is get more insight to respond to our business critical questions. Normally, day-to-day life, we face certain set of questions. They are really common, like what did happen? Why did it happen? What can we do to rectify them? Is it a trend? Will the trend continue? Likewise. So basically we put our skills, deep knowledge and softwares to improve the quality furthermore. This is where the business intelligence and data analytics comes into the play. So anyone knows what business intelligence is and data analytics? This is an open question. Any guesses? What's business intelligence? Okay,
If we have very silent forum.
yeah, very silent forum.
Okay, so I'll break ice.
Yeah.
For me, my business intelligence is before I make a business decision, I need certain predictability, certain calculated risk, saying my decision is good or bad. That I need to know before I try my decision. To make decisions, I need facts and figures. That's business intelligence for me.
Excellent. So, what might be the data analytics then?
That I'll pass it to someone. The result is person.
So, I'll continue. Basically, according to Wikipedia, business intelligence is a set of theories, methodologies, architectures, and technologies that transform raw data into meaningful and useful information for business purposes. Just as you said, so before a business decision, you have to have useful information. So, in business intelligence, there are subcomponents: data mining, reporting, benchmarking, predictive analytics. Those are subcomponents of BI. Then what's data analytics? Basically, data analytics is driven by statistical model. So they provide you with new level of information and help you to forecast your business. So basically what happens in the data analytics is you get historical data, you perform iteratively explore new trends, new patterns, and based on those you forecast the future. Or else you could see what is currently happening in your business. Likewise. So in a same note, I would say data analytics is an offshoot of BI, business intelligence. So this is a graph that shows which component has the most business value to a company and with the complexity. So currently we have reports, our cost reports. So they are just simple queries and still they are in the lowest level of business value and the complexity as well. So we could move forward and go to the analysis. So it shows you what did happen. So as an example, if you get a certain day and the sales are really low, so you could get third-party inputs like weather data. So, example, iced coffee sales have dropped on a rainy day. So you could get it through analysis. So when it comes to monitoring, the tools involved are dashboards and scorecards. Currently, we don't have that facility in our company or in our tools, but we will in the future we will implement those things which will show us what's currently happening in our business. Then the most business value, with the most business value, the predictions. It shows you what might happen next. So to the merchants, it's really important because based on the past few months data, you could predict the next week sales. So he could be prepared. Like if you are going to sell more breads, you could store more flour in your stocks. Like this. So these are the most hottest data analytical trends which we have incorporated to our solutions up to a certain level. So data visualization. What's data visualization? So basically it allows the business user to interactively engage and get the visualized answers. Example, bar charts, pie charts are great examples. Then mobile analytics. We have a mobile application. Do we collect enough information? That's a question. But still, it generates information. Smartphones, they have the information about the user. So they contains the user's likes, his behavioral patterns, likewise. So based on that, we can carefully and strategically engage with the customer and do our promotions and marketing. Then the analytics in the cloud. So basically, if we are implementing an analytical infrastructure, it will cost us a great amount of money and many resources as well. So current trend is every company who's doing analytics are moving on to cloud, Amazon cloud. So we have moved our data warehouses, Hadoop clusters and analytics into cloud as well. So we are currently following the trend. Then the predictive analytics, which Veronica will explain in next few slides. So we get the past few months data. We have done a great example to our cafe conception. So we'll show you in the next few slides. It's pretty much interesting. So what it does is you forecast the future, or you suggest the users you might like these products. Would you care to look at those products and buy them? Sorry for that. There's an organization called International Data Corporation. It's a pioneer global provider of marketing intelligence. So they have forecasted that data analytics will continue to grow at a 9.8 compound annual growth rate through 2016 to reach $50 billions. So if a company doesn't include business analytics and data analytics and business intelligence in their current business model in the next few years, in the next coming years, so they have predicted that those companies will cease to exist. So having said that, we don't have to worry because we are currently following the trend as well. We have incorporated those technologies to us, to our solution. So I'll move forward and hand over to Suresh. He will explain the technical aspect of this. Suresh?
Okay, thank you for that. Let's start with data warehousing to get better understanding about business intelligence. So, what is data warehousing? you guys know anything about data warehousing. Okay, data warehousing is a database, right? In the traditional way, it's a database, relational database, and it designed to capture the data and organize in a manner to serve the business intelligence tool in a faster manner. So even in our heaps that we have done the traditional way already with the business intel reports using the traditional relational data, and the Hadoop big data plus big data warehousing and the streaming processing is going on currently, and later we will include everything and we can make a better business intelligence environment. So in a general point of view, right, a data warehouse should be subject oriented. That means, see, this is the question: which is the fast moving food item in California consumed by male professionals in last 3 months? Right? This is one of the business field. So that is the subject. To answer this one, we have to collect all the data, or we have to integrate all the data, and we have to define our data warehouse structure according to cater this kind of subjects. So data warehouse should be subject oriented, but don't forget that. So if we identified or realize that there are some other data which we collected that can be used in future manner for the particular subject, then we should be able to capture all those things. And then integrated. What is integrated means? See, we are getting different legacy data sources, and we are putting everything into a single data source as a data warehouse. So while we are putting everything in a single point, we have to maintain some standards. It may be the naming patterns, or the measured units, or the currency conversion, or even the mainly the time zones, right? So because different data sources using different time zones and different formats, we have to unify everything in a single way to make the integration easy. And non-volatile manner means, right? See, this is different than the traditional or the operational database. That is, once we put or bring data into the data warehouse, it should be never change in the future. Why we are doing like this is because we need to see what is really happening with the data. What's the flow really happening with the operational data applications data. And the time variant. So all these analyses are made by time, right? We have to analyze all this historical data, and during the time how our data, how our business is going on. So data marts, basically data marts are the outlets of the data warehouse, where from these points we are extracting or we are fetching the data for our other application tools. So data marts, it's a subset of the data warehouse. In a way, we are using this data mart to give fast access, or we are providing fast query time to get the data for the application. And basically, you may get to know about this data mart, right? Data mart, by standard, is following the facts dimensional design model. That I don't want to describe in detail here. We will see the next, right? So this basically, for the business intelligence point of view, data marts are the data source for the OLAP activities. OLAP means online analytical processing, right? The problem with the data warehouse and data mart even is about the query time. As data is growing, as query is getting more complex, the time taking for get the results is rapidly increasing. So people are doing research how to solve this problem, and they found a way. Mainly the Microsoft people, they have found a way to doing in-memory processing, mainly getting the measures, that means what are the number values we need to process, and make it as a dimensional model. So it's really, the OLAP is really a in-memory based array, multi-dimensional array, where the dimensions or axis to analyze. Multi-dimensional means all the dimensions we are defining the dimension entity we are defining the data mart, and the cells values or cells, the memory cells holding the values or the measures that we are going to do our aggregation or any other calculation purpose for prediction of BI measurements. Then MTX, so multi-dimensional expression. So what is MTX is same as SQL, right? SQL we are using to get the extract data from traditional relational database. So to getting or extracting or manipulating data from data with OLAP Cube is MTX. So it's a different kind of specialized syntax, and you can see a simple example here, right? How we are getting the sales value with the revenue and quantity for a particular merchant with a particular month. Okay. Just to get a very basic understanding about, by comparing this one, you can see in the relational model we are defining all these domains and everything, and here, and even the aggregation function, whether it is sum or count or something. But here in the OLAP engine it will handle everything. We can define, okay, these measures, revenue and quantities should be summarized, and the merchants or all the dimensions should be already integrated or inner joined with the OLAP Cube in the OLAP engine. So it will serve very fast, maybe say if the very fast in a very okay. Then intelligent reporting. So using this one, we did some business intelligence project. That's the Intel report, and use the Pentaho BA community server, community edition, and it is the UIT to read the Intel report, and we have implemented 3 levels of users to access the application. So one is the strategic users or the corporate users, that's provided with the 6% manager. And another group is the merchant group. There's, for example, the OPCO users, OPCO merchants. So for this one, we are adding some group of merchants to some particular user group. So once they log in, and they can see only the particular merchant's information, and for the individual merchant login. So you can see this is the URL for the live application now. In the report, you can see that our database will be paid to get the credentials. You can. So I will show some screenshots here. So this is the snapshot, the very landing page, and here you can see it's same as it's showing the trends and the daily sales for a particular selected month. And you can see the KPIs, not really the KPIs, but at least we can see some indexes, right? For example, revenue summary. For the sales revenue is going up compared to the last month and each percentage. So these are the basic KPIs, but we are in a process to integrate more things here. And here is one example for slow moving products, underperforming items compared to the price, right? That is revenue. This is how we can see a trending thing. So trending here we have to compare at least 3 years data, right? Current year or current year trending, we have to compare the previous year trend. So then the trending position say this is a trending up. For this month is a number second. So but it's coming up from the previous one. So if you are getting the previous one, we have to compare with the previous year. So, so what those kind of things is impossible with the relational querying things by comparing three time frames. So here we are doing everything in a single manner.
Suresh, what have you censored?
Sorry?
What have you censored? The white line?
Now that's number 50 numbers. I couldn't.
You
show all
okay.
those.
I thought you censored one item.
No. It's coming from one to and you can show.
Okay.
Because I want to show you the summaries.
Cool.
Yeah, right. How we are calculating the summaries. See, this kind of storytelling, right? 98 items, so 41.53% of the total item, show increase in sale. Okay. And here the top customers, we are actually extracting this from some, we have did some, actually Aruna has done a good work in building that customer profiling, and from that one we are getting the customer names and their first four best items they are purchasing during the day-to-day time. And this is one of the daytime feedback, busy hours feedback graph. Here you can see the coloring is how many orders per hour for a particular day in days. And this is the latest one we have introduced, the server report card. That is actually we are getting some data from another database. Normally all others are getting from the Leapset database. This one is we are getting from some employee database to integrate this employee activity and the sale activity, and we can see how the tips they are running and how many tickets they are handling and how many void tickets. So this is will be in in process to embed this report further. Okay, so this is the current stage of the internal report, and I will ask Veronica to continue with the data analytics part that we can incorporate with internal report building.
Thanks, Suresh. Okay. So don't fall asleep, but it's a little bit more. I will quickly wrap it. So what we so now we have processed the data, we have gathered the data, processed the data. Now the next thing we can do is tell stories with the data that we have gathered and processed. Actually, at the blink of an eye. So I will start where Suresh has stopped. So this is a report which is generated by Intel. So this report basically shows the weekly sales of a merchant. But the problem is that when a merchant sees this, he can actually get an idea of what is the summary of my sales. But he cannot really think what lies ahead. And what I can do to get ready to what will come in the future. So that is what we call predictive analytics. So how can we make reliable predictions out of the data? So we as a team we use R, Hadoop and Mahout to do this. And the methods, we are using basically two methods, supervised learning and unsupervised learning. So supervised learning is where we label the data and it is like a teacher training the data. But in unsupervised learning, there's no teacher, there's no labels, we just cluster the data and we find patterns in the data that we do not know whether it's correct or not. So there are two methods that we use in supervised learning, logistic regression and collaborative filtering that I will be describing later. And then for unsupervised learning, we use market segmentation and market basket analysis for now. They are experimenting on this. So the first method is logistic regression. So what we do with logistic regression is predict the future sales trends. So the story that we can tell the merchant is so if this weather continues, you should expect more customers in the next few weeks. So then the merchant can really increase his stocks and get ready for the increase in customer base. So how can we do this? How can we build a logistic regression model? it is basically the model we call as logistic regression is really simple, although the word is really fancy. The model is like y equals mx plus c, where x is a variable, where we change it like using weather and temperature like data. So we use several kind of parameters and we try to predict revenue for one merchant, and we were able to actually predict using 70% accuracy. So we are still working on predicting for other merchants as well. And the second method is collaborative filtering. So I'm sure most of you all have Amazon account. So when you go to your account, they recommend you stuff. So please buy this, you may like it more. So likewise, we can recommend products for the user. So the merchant can recommend. The story that we are going to give to the merchant is, if you give this product to, if you try to sell this product B to user A, then he will love that product. So we are using item-based and user-based recommendation algorithms for this. So what we input to the system is a rating matrix where user has rated an item. So we use an implicit rating for now. These recommendations for cafe consumption here. So we chose two top customers, Tilal and Romit. So these are the items that we predicted based on their past data. We predicted that they may like these items. So according to actual user feedback, those recommendations are really pretty accurate because some agree that fish patty and popcorn are nice to have. So the next method is market basket analysis. So with this, we recommend what are the items that go together, move together. So the story that we are going to tell to the merchant is, if you sell cheese and pizza together, the customer will love it. So that the next time the merchant gives away a pizza, he can ask from the customer whether to top it with cheese. So how can we do this? Is we can use frequent item set mining, an algorithm. So a popular example of association rules that are used by frequent item set mining algorithms is a set of researchers have found out that if a person buys milk and diaper together, then they will most probably buy beer as well. So I would let you think why it is. The fourth method is market segmentation. So we basically segment users according to their preference. So the story that we are going to tell the merchant is when a user comes in, we can say that this customer belongs to the frugal group. He does not spend too much, so just give him free stuff and he will be attracted to the place more. So how can we do this? We can use clustering algorithms such as k-means clustering, and also we can use graph analytics to do this. So now we have a platform built on top of Hadoop, so that is really easy and flexible for analytics, mostly because the analytics process is faster and scalable. So I said that we use Mahout. Mahout is really popular for recommendations. So when we give a rating matrix to Mahout, it basically decomposes that matrix and then apply map produce internally and then produce the output to us. So that is really great that we don't have to do it by ourselves. Mahout does it for ourselves. So with that, I wrap up.